almost ready to rumble then, as you could say. We're on the formation lap here at Road Atlanta. 2.54 miles, 12 turns on this Grand Prix course. And this is how they all line up then as they moved away from the grid. Weaver and Leitzinger, 6.75 on the pole position here, ahead of Frank Bieler and, of course, Marco Werner. Quite a considerable achievement for them, but as we've already said, it's a case now of keeping that and staying ahead of the rest. On board with the number 80 Velux Pro Drive 550 Maranello, the Ferraris expected to be tough here, and this guy's going to be trying hard as well. JJ Leto in his second drive for the champion Audi this season as we get the green flag and we're away. And James Weaver leads away, but up to second already goes JJ Leto, who gets ahead of Marco Werner into the first turn. We're on board now with JJ Leto. This is a camera that's inside his helmet, visor cam you could call it, from second place now as they go up the hill there. This circuit really does undulate. It's quite tight and twisty, but also flows up and down, and you can see now we're coming down the hill. Imagine what that feels like with a full tank of petrol and high speed on the opening lap. But it is still James Weaver that leads from JJ Leto in the 38 car. Marco Werner coming alongside the champion there, just having a look through, but couldn't make it happen. Fourth place, Didier Thies in the Doran Lister Dallara. Andy Wallace in fifth place in the Dyson Lola, the AER-MG engine 675. Olivia Beretta in 10th place, and that's Tommy Drizzy in the R&S Mark 3C Lincoln. One of the 900 LMP 900 competitors had a spin. That's at turn 9, but looks as if he's okay and can complete his return to the track. And he does. Here's a replay then, just comes round the turn. Just a case of cold tyres, I think. Put the acceleration pedal down a little too hard. Weaver leads JJ Leto, who leads Marco Werner, the Infineon Yerst Audi in third place now. The team that won the opening round this year, which seems such a long time ago when we think back to Sebring. Second in class they are. That's the leader in class, but second overall in the race because JJ Leto is not having any joy getting past James Weaver. And what a great story it's been for the Dyson team, who since the back end of last year have put so much work in. They arrived at Sebring with a very fast car that turned a lot of heads and caused quite a few surprises. And then they struggled with reliability at Sebring, but now they're back, and hopefully the niggles are sorted out. There's the fourth place man and the fifth place man, and Didier Thies in the 27 car in fourth place. Andy Wallace in fifth. Olivia Beretta still holding sixth place in the JML Paynos 01. The evolution of last year's car. Look back to John Field in seventh place in the Intersport Lola, the EX57A RMG. And that's a 675 car. And Gunnar Jeanette was behind him in eighth place in the number 11 car, another the JML Paynos. But it is still a great showing for John Field too, who again has been one of these drivers and one of these teams that have just had so much bad luck with unreliability. Looking now at 13th overall, Emmanuel Nospetti in the olive green Ferrari 550 Maranello in the GTS class. He's fourth, and we're on board with the fifth place man, number 80, Jerome Polican, also in a Ferrari 550, one of the Velux Pro Drive team cars that are entered in this race here. And he'll be handing over later to Danka Patrick, who makes her debut in the series. One of the Corvettes we just saw flashing ahead there, and I presume that would be the number 4 car, and a whole gaggle of traffic now already for these guys to get through. Weaver's through safely, and JJ Leto just past the yellow Porsche now, and Werner right behind him, first, second and third on the row. 675 leader and overall leader James Weaver comes down the hill now. He's got another Porsche to get through, and this is where the race really starts. As we heard Johnny Herbert saying before, in the traffic you've got to be careful, and through goes JJ Leto to take James Weaver. The traffic just caught Weaver out, and taking the advantage was JJ Leto. That was a beautiful smooth move. Through they go. More traffic ahead of them. There is no rest for these guys at all. We're on board though with James Weaver in that Lola, and picking his way through the traffic behind JJ Leto. Just can't quite do it there. The difference in speed once the 900s are ahead of him just means he can't quite close up. As we look at number 3, the familiar Ron Fellows behind the wheel in the Corvette C5, and they have been putting a lot of work into that car. And Ferrari right behind it. Of course, they're fighting the Ferraris hard this weekend. As we join number 24 now. This is the Bernhard and Birdmeister Alex Joe Porsche, and we're expecting one of these to do fairly well here. Mixed fortunes for the... Oh, there's a spin with the Ferrari that was ahead of the Corvette, and that is not a very good thing at all for Thomas Enger, who was fighting in second place in the GTS class. Whole lot of tyre smoke going on, and loses several positions there on board inside the number 3 Corvette, and there will be a smile. Well, in fact, there won't be now, because his teammate's right behind him, and Ron Fellows has a very, very fast number 4 car right behind him with Kelly Collins in it, and Collins does look to be far more comfortable in that number 4 car. Well, no information on the setup. They usually run them fairly much the same, sometimes on different strategies, so it could be that he's got a lighter car, but using or able to use a lot more of the track. Ron Fellows, though, a conservative driver. Now, are we going to see team tactics here? Because Collins certainly looks as if he wants to get past. If there was team tactics, if there was team orders, then he would be holding his guard just a little way behind that. But these guys are probably, I think, going to be allowed to race this out. And Ron Fellows making no signs of letting him through easily. So we've got a race between teammates here, wise teammates. It has to be stressed. They're not going to take each other off. But certainly, at the moment, I think it's fair to say that Kelly Collins is being held up, but not this time, because he goes through on the inside. Ron Fellows did make it very easy for him, not risking anything. And I think realising that his teammate had the faster car and doing the wise and mature thing, but that's what you'd expect from somebody like Ron Fellows. So, change in the GTS lead now. Number 4, Kelly Collins leads. Number 3, Ron Fellows, as we go on board once again inside the Alex Job number 24 Porsche, who's fighting it out with, that's number 60, I think, or number 61, one of the PK Porsche, PK Sport Porsches, as we join now John Field, who's just passed number 27. So John Field up to 5th place now. He's made up quite a few places already, and that 675 Intersport Lola is looking pretty settled at the minute. Fingers crossed for them that they can have a good race here. They had a few problems at Sebring. Well, there is the 27 car that has just been passed. That is the Lister car. Doran, Lister, Delara, MG power car. The MG engine's just getting stronger and stronger all the time. And he too now passes one of the GTS cars. Look back at James Weaver inside the number 16 car, currently second in the race and first overall in the 675 class, but leading both the 900s and the race overall is JJ Leto, who made pretty quick work in getting to the front and has now continued to pull away and increase his advantage, and that's exactly what he needs. Build up a little bit of time before they head into the pits for a change. Certainly be in for fuel. Tyres, they may change them, may decide to run a double stint. Into the pits, though, comes number 37. John Field is in. Fuel going into that car. He gets out. Duncan Dayton is standing ready to go. No tyres being changed on that car. And we got the number 4 car, who was leading the GTS class, into the pits as well. Meanwhile, flashing lights to warn the drivers ahead of him that he's on his way. JJ Leto passes the number 88 Velox Ferrari of Thomas Enger that we saw spinning before. Down the hill he comes, and he's into the pit lane as well. So let's see, is he going to stay in the car, or will he be doing a double stint and Johnny Herbert taking over later? Well, arrives into his pit lane now, adheres to the 60-kilometre speed lane restriction. The 88 Ferrari is in as well, and Thomas Enger is getting out. So he'll be changing over. Fuel going into the Audi, no tyres. Leto still in the car, has a drink, gets rid of the bottle. Out on the track, Marco Werner is now the race leader as Domenico Sciattarella comes out in the olive green 550 Ferrari. Butch Leitzinger in the 16 car takes over from James Weaver, and Leto in the car still as we know it. But the 16 car now ahead of the champion Audi on the road once more.
The car's going really well, we don't have any problems, because JJ's a bit quicker than us. These are new tyres, it's the first time we've raced on them, so we just changed them as a precaution to have a look at them, and I think we'll run to the end now without changing again, but the tyre performance is extremely good. We just need a little bit more speed out of the car.
4 and 3 circulating together again in the GTS class, although it's Oliver Gavin that's inside the number 4 car. Johnny O'Connell is behind him in the number 3 Corvette C5R, and stalemate situation for them at the minute. Seems to be okay though.
I was running hard, but conserving my tires, you can see they're heavily blistered, but everybody else whipped their tires too, so we came out about halfway through the stint, got the lead, held it.
Number 12, Tommy Trissy, who we saw spinning earlier, has got JJ Leto behind him, and Butch Leitzinger, who is now behind the champion Audi once more, gets through this particular gaggle of traffic and has a clear track ahead of him for a moment. Butch Leitzinger just got a wheel on the grass there and lost a little bit of momentum. We're on board though inside the helmet of JJ Leto, inside the number 38 car. You can see how much his head moves around under braking, really working hard at that steering wheel to tame that Audi R8, and then just slingshots himself down the hill and round this sweeping right-hand turn, along, mirroring the pit straight. And Leitzinger just struggling to get past the traffic as well. It's all clear at the moment for JJ Leto. Second drive for this champion Audi team, and a brilliant pairing really, him and Johnny Herbert. Going to be interesting how that pans out over the year. They have a running joke now between them that JJ Leto is in fact the number 1 driver, Johnny Herbert is his support rider, and that is due to the fact that of course Johnny drove with the Bentleys at Sebring and got points in a Bentley, not in the champion Audi. And there is it's Frank Bieler now, so they've been in and pitted as well. So Frank Bieler behind the wheel, so he should be 2-stinting this race, it looks like, in the Infineon Audi. And a whole lot of traffic for him to get through. That was the olive green Ferrari, and it was the 29 Ferrari, I think, there as well, the 360 Modena in the GT class, and a Corvette as well. But problems for that 360 Modena, and I think that might have been a puncture, or it could have been something else that was letting go. But certainly the whole thing seemed to lock up, and I would say that Stefan Gregor has got a puncture. Can't see anything from that side of the car. We'll wait to see what happens. Frank Bieler, though, on a charge, moving up past one of these 675s. I think that was definitely a puncture we saw there on that 360 Modena. And there is the 28 car into the pits now. So, yes, you can definitely see that tyre has deflated. Luckily has stayed on the rim, because that can cause so much damage to the bodywork and the suspension, but he's been very lucky to get that back virtually intact, and a little bit of abrasion on the side of the bodywork. But into the pits, and 4 mechanics now allowed to work on that car, and they're taking the opportunity to change drivers and also to refuel that. Oh, and look at that, that's a puncture for the number 3 car, and that is chunking away. And that's a much more dangerous situation. You can see the lashing the bodywork's getting from that. And from his position on the circuit, he's got a long, long way to go before he reaches the pits. And that car could be very badly damaged. You can see the chunks just getting bigger, and the tyre starting to split now. That flailing rubber really, really is such an animal to the bodywork of the cars. Well, no problems for JJ Leto out in front. It will be a great day, though, if they can pull the win off here. Time will tell.
One new message.
Hi, Jim. Sales are up. Over to you.
Pirelli, power is nothing without control.
Beretta and Max Papis are sharing that car. And the second car for the team is the number 11 car. Get a shot now. Looking down at the circuit, you can see nice wide runoff areas. You can just get a glimpse of the height they were climbing there as we're in the pits now with the number 24 Alex Joe Porsche and Lucas Law in the 23 car. Jörg Bergmeister has changed over to Timo Bernhard. So Lucas Law leads currently on the circuits in the GT class, having already completed their pit stop. Sasha Masson in the pits having a bit of a rest and a well-earned break from the heat.
I overtook Jörg right at the beginning. I pulled away, I was fine, then I hit a back marker, overtaking into 7, he didn't see me. And I dropped back to second again, catch up again, and overtook Jörg a second time.
Dan Kirkpatrick now behind the wheel of the number 80 Ferrari 550 Maranello, gets passed by JJ Leto, and you can see there the difference in the speed as he just goes flying through, and that was Butch Leitzinger who went past her as well. She's in the GTS class in, we think, third place at the moment, but 38. The champion Audi with JJ Leto behind the wheel, partnered this year by Johnny Herbert, leads here the second round of the American Le Mans at Road Atlanta. This is a rescheduled round, and everybody really happy to be coming here. This is a great, great circuit. Normally we're here at the end of the season, as we've already mentioned, actually, for the 10-hour Petit Le Mans. So 2 visits to this circuit this year. Nobody will mind that whatsoever. And the champion Audi team will not mind winning here at all if they can. Butch Leitzinger behind the wheel of the number 16 Dyson car, cutting through past 2 of the GT cars at the minute, and circulating pretty consistently behind the Audi R8. Changes to the regulations this year mean the inlet restrictors have changed. The 675 cars not as restricted as they were. And now we're on board with the 03 car. This is a new car this year, and it's a Paynos, not the Paynos that, of course, we're more familiar with, but this is a new development in the GT class. The Paynos Esperante, the GT, the LM Elan engined car. Elan, who make the engines for the Paynos LMP01 and also for the 0 car. The olive green Ferrari is an Elan built and designed engine. Sounds very much like one of the LMP01s and looks a cross between, shall we say, a Corvette and a Porsche, but good to see it here. I wasn't expecting to see it make its debut quite so early in the season, but the gap, of course, with the calendar has allowed them to get a bit more work done on that. And Rick Skelton behind the wheel of that at the moment, on board, and a view from the outside, from the roof, as one of the prototypes just flies past. And again we can see the difference in the speed of these cars. And that is 77 John Burke, one of the 675s that's retired in the Pilbeam Nissan. The Nissan-powered car reported to be electrical problems, and no reported problems for JJ Leto, and none either for Frank Wieler in the Infineon Audi. And JJ Leto double stinting, and so too is Frank Wieler, but they've changed around the other way, with Wieler now driving all the way to the end, where Leto will change over to Johnny Herbert at some point. Butch Leitzinger on board, the 675 leader, currently second in the race. We have him getting caught by the traffic there. these cars just beautifully designed and meticulously maintained. And great to see this car being such a challenge this year. So we only have 2 Audis. There's only 1 Audi from the US team. And of course the customer Audi, the champion, have been running. And they were the first team to ever run an R8 LMP 900 Sports prototype. Still yet to win. They have something like 16 top 5 results now over the past 2 years in the championship, but they still desperately do want to win here. A lot of traffic for them to go through now, and well, there always is. There's just times where it's just slightly quieter on the track, and that's John Field's car that's just ahead now of the champion Audi. John Field into the pits earlier, changed over to his teammate who's completing his stints. And usually would expect to see John Field getting back in that car later. See how smooth, quick and beautifully handling that car is from that shot there. The Audi looking refined and perfect as always, just making easy pickings of the one of the PK Sport GT cars there. 64 kindly gets out of the way and lets him through, doesn't hold him up at all. So now he's completed that particular mover. Over that slight little hump now underneath the bridge, headlights on, just hoping to glint in the headlights a little bit more. Here's a replay then. Oh, this is one of the Alex Joe Porsches. It's the 23 car coming together with one of the blue Porsches. And well, as soon as that, we go straight into the pits again. JJ Leto's in the pits and he's out of the car as well. So he changes over now to Johnny Herbert, who gets in the car now. They're changing the tyres, they're putting the fuel in as well. And it was Kurt Wagner that Lucas Law had that collision with before. That'll drop Lucas Law down a couple of positions. But this is the fight now. Into the pits as well is Beeler. He's in the car. There's no new tyres going on, just the fuel. And the pressure really is on the champion team and also on the Dyson team as well, who are in the pits, and they've got a problem with that car. They've changed the tyres and it won't restart. So John Field now leads the 675 class. And it was just tragic unfairness to this team who now can't get that car started. There's John Field, who is now 3rd overall and leading the 675 class, and they finally got the car started after something like 3 minutes. So that puts him well down the order and a lot of work to do. And what a shame for the car that was leading the early part of this race, both on the track and the 675s. And this must seem like an eternity for Butch Leitzinger to be slowly getting back onto the track again, as he does now. Several laps they've lost. Johnny Herbert inside that car has a little bit of space ahead of him, can get that car back up to temperature again, and they are perfectly happy with that car this weekend. Johnny Herbert's just a little bit more aggressive than JJ Leto at times, but Johnny never one to miss an opportunity, and now picks his way past the cars that they passed just a couple of laps ago.
I got a decent first corner and got by Markov, and then fiddling with James a little bit. He was really fast on a straight line. I mean, we don't have, with this engine configuration what we have with the restrictors, there's no way to overtake them. But he got caught up in the traffic a little bit, and I just took a better advantage out of it and got by. And then I just went, you know, the car felt really good. We were really happy with the setups already yesterday with Johnny, and it's just the qualifying didn't work out yesterday, but, you know, we are just getting it back today.
So JJ Leto will be now watching the rest of the race, waiting for the final results as we pick up the number 80 car once again, the Velox Pro Drive car, and Jerome Policand is back in that car now after taking over from Danka Patrick, and inside and on board we go, and good speed from that Ferrari because he's challenging one of the prototypes now, Well, I think that's one of the 675s that he's just passed. Highly developed cars, of course, by the ProDrive concern, who are involved quite considerably in all forms of motorsport now. Dave Richards, the head honcho, the head man at ProDrive, mastermind of the Subaru World Rally campaign, and of course now the man behind the BAR Formula One team. That Ferrari sounding sweet, although they are struggling slightly, not seen as much from them maybe as I was expecting, but still they are ahead in the GTS class at the moment. And that is Ron Fellows in the number 3 car. He's going in. Johnny O'Connell has got out, and of course they had to stop earlier because of that puncture that caused so much damage for the back of that car.
You know, what do you do? We had contact, and boy, you know, it's 2.5 miles around with the flat tires a long way, and that's what took us out. So, you know, right now we're fighting for third, and hopefully we'll pick it up and, you know, come away with some points.
And that's Philip Collin in the 52 Porsche, the 911 GT3 RS stroke rally car now as he goes through the gravel. Brad Nyberg's behind the wheel of the 03 Paynos Esperante. They've been in the pits, had a long stop while they changed the fluid in the differential, but the car is still going, and very few problems so far for the team.
The races are much hotter than I thought they were going to be, but I think the most frustrating thing for me was that I couldn't find any lap times on my dash. I had no idea how many laps I had done. So, and I heard one thing on the radio the whole time. So I didn't know if it went out. And then I saw my pit board and it said 2. And they were supposed to count down 5, 4, 3, 2. So I really didn't know what was going on.
Danica Patrick back in the pits then, having changed over from the number 80 car. Lucas Law leads the GT class at the minute in the Alex Joe Porsche. Oh, there's the other one. 2 cars back from Johnny Herbert. Timo Bernhard inside the 24 car in 2nd place. No damage to the Porsche that spun earlier. A flat-cylinder Boxster engine car, water-cooled, just under 3.6 litre. Behind him is the Thomas Enger ProDrive, the Velux ProDrive 550 Ferrari Maranello, 2nd in the GT class at the minute. Quite interesting because the GT class quicker than the GT car, and he's not having such an easy time getting past the Alex Joe Porsche at all. Right behind each other, and Timo Bernhard not making it easy for Thomas Enger. We're on board with Johnny O'Connell and Ron Fellows, their car that Ron Fellows is back in now. Damage to the rear left-hand side, I think it was, of this car with that puncture earlier on, and that will affect the aerodynamics of the car. And that's Chris Dyson in the number 20 Dyson Lola. They had a great time at Sebring. And struggling, there's something wrong with that car now. He's into the pits. Well, they have had a problem with a bit of a misfire, we're told, so hopefully they can get that sorted and get it back out again. Maybe they just have to reboot the electronics as we look down again over the circuit and looking at Johnny Herbert, who leads this race. Meanwhile, it's action now in the Alex Joe pit. Timo Bernhard is in. Fuel's gone in, the tyres are going on, and Sasha Masson leads this class. Now the 23 car, Jörg Bergmeister, though, back behind the wheel, and away he goes on board the 675, 2nd place in the 675 class, down to 5th overall now after the problems that they had in the pits, but Butch Leisinger still trying hard. There's still time to make up ground in this race. And this is the man that's 2nd overall currently, with the way the pit stops have played out. And leading the 675 class, that's John Field, back inside the Intersport Lola, the EX257, the MG engine that's been prepared by AER for them as well. That's the olive green Zero Raffinelli Ferrari. And that's the car we mentioned before that's got the Elan designed and built engine behind it, and virtually every part of that green car has been rebuilt. There's just the roof and part of the chassis that remains original Ferrari. John Speed with a good bit of speed coming down over the top there behind the number 4 Corvette. And there's Johnny Herbert in the champion Audi, looking very well indeed as he gets past one of the other prototype cars without any problems at all. Looking smooth and looking comfortable. Number 3 Corvette for Ron Fellows behind Johnny Herbert, and he'll be catching and passing him just about now. As he does, no problem. Ron Fellows gets out of the way, and the guys in the GT and the GTS class and the 675s, of course, are all used to the faster cars coming up behind them, so always do try and get out of the way as quickly as possible. Getting out of the gravel as quickly as possible, courtesy of the marshals, is the 52 Porsche. That's at turn 1, so end of the race I think it will be for the 52 car. Disappointment for them, and just gets into a spin into the corner. Can't quite see whether there was any punctures involved in that, but I think that was just a little bit of overzealous driving. Forgive me if it's not. And no problems like that for Johnny Herbert in the car, and driving the last stint, having taken over from JJ Lato. Frank Biela almost at the end of his stint as well. Time clicking away in this 2-hour 45-minute race, and seemingly it's going to take a problem for the Infineon Audi to get ahead, take first place in this race. They're second in class and currently second overall as well. Well, the Ferraris ahead of him now. Should make pretty easy work of that once he gets onto the right part of the track and close to him. Just the one car for the team this year, all their efforts behind the number 1 car, who now successfully and quite easily passes the 550 Ferrari down along the other side of the pit wall. Once more, another lap completed up the hill, and continues his rhythm, continues his momentum, just putting in consistent lap times, but not lapping as quick as the champion Audi. Johnny Herbert is just flying in that car, and Frank Biela knows that it's such a difficult task for him to try and close down Johnny Herbert, and is just keeping it consistent. In the meantime, Johnny Herbert just has 1 position on the accelerator at the minute, and that is as far open as possible. Former Formula 1 driver, of course, who retired from Formula 1 after driving with the Jaguar team, and still sees himself being involved in racing for quite some time, has aspirations to maybe get involved in the team side of things one day, which of course is what Stefan Johansson is doing this year, his former teammate with champion last year. We're back on board inside the number 80 Ferrari. Sounding very nice, sounding controlled. And get a view, headlights on, and making progress. A stricken 675 at the side of the track there. We're on board with number 3, Ron Fellows, and he is currently in 3rd place, we make it, in the GTS class. He's managed to get that place back from the number 80 car. So Ron Fellows up to 3rd and on for a podium position. And that's not a bad achievement for them, considering the amount of time that they lost earlier on the race. There he is now head on. So he did well to get past the number 80 car. Frank Biela once again in the Infineon Audi. And we make it somewhere in the region of 30 seconds, the lead for Johnny Herbert over this man Frank Biela in the number 1 car, the championship winning car from last year. Frank Biela and Emanuele Pirro, the victors at the end of the season last year. Of course, we're unfortunately without Dindo Capello and Tom Christensen this year. Great man of sports car racing. And sadly, they're not in the series this year. Let's hope that we do see them again. Tom Christensen, of course, drove at Sebring in the Bentley and, of course, at Le Mans, along with Dindo. The white flag for the 38 car, the champion Audi, on its way to its maiden American Le Mans win. The champion team, which started life in 1994 when it first entered a Porsche at Sebring it was, and there's a car stuck in the side of the wall there, and I think that's number 12, sorry, Tommy Drizzy. Their 900 races come to an abrupt end just before the end of this race. We're on the last lap though with Johnny Herbert, and this is going to be another mark in the champion team's history, and everybody is going to be delighted. And they worked so hard for this for so long, and finally going to be delivered, and it's going to be a second place for the number 1 Audi, as Johnny Herbert's not letting the pace go for one moment, passes the GTS Ferrari. One of the Dyson cars, the 20 car, managed to get back out again after resetting the car, so they're going to get a finish in this race, hopefully, as Johnny Herbert just heads down now to the final turn. The checkered flag out, and wave for him as he goes through. And the champion team absolutely delighted. And they're going to be celebrating hard tonight, it has to be said. And hand up in acknowledgement of the victory. Herbert, and later then winning the second round of the series ahead of Frank Bieler and Marco Werner. John Field and Duncan Dayton were third overall and first in the 675 class. Victory, of course, for the Alex Job Porsche team as well. They get another victory to their credit, and a very delighted Johnny Herbert and an understandably ecstatic champion team getting the win that they've been working for and waiting for so long now.
We've been up against the works Audis for a long time. It's a privateer years which we're running the works cars, and it's been a long time coming because we've put so much work into this. We've been close so many times, and finally we had no bad luck, and we did a good race. JJ at the beginning did an absolute mega part of the race at the beginning. That just made my job much easier. So I'm just so happy for the whole crew.
It was hard work for the Corvettes, but they again survived the strong challenge from the Ferraris, and it couldn't really have been any better result for Oliver Gavin in his second round here.
Just really pleased we've got the win sort of back over the Ferrari. It's nice to start this part of the season with a win, and I'd just like to thank all the boys on the 4 car. They did a brilliant job this weekend, really great.
It is usually a case of an Alex Job Porsche that wins, but this time it is a very delighted 24 crew who get another win to add to their credit.
I'm very happy, and I'm very proud of the whole team. I want to say thank you to Alex Job Racing, McKenna, and to my teammate Jörg. And it's been a very nice race, and it's our second win in the LMS, and I'm very happy. Now we're looking for the championship, but I think it's a long way to go.
3 drivers on equal points, with Johnny Herbert 4th in the 900 class. In the 675s, it's John Field and Duncan Dayton with a 3-point advantage. The number 4 Corvette drivers are now tied in the GTS class with 39 points apiece, while Lucas Law and Sasha Masson have 8 points over their teammates. History for the champion team, and a warning to the others that they have